Welcome back to our triple Kiddush Hashem. This is really what we're doing. We're showing Hashem that we're putting our money where our mouth is, and we're showing Hashem that we said L'mancha, right? We're doing it for your sake because we're going to learn Torah. So what better than to learn Torah right after Yom Kippur, after we ate too much already? That's what people do. They eat too much. At least we got a mitzvah of Malava Malka.
I don't mind being called lunatic for the Gemara.
Now, you got to get people that are talking in the background without being muted. Let's find out. Okay. Here we go. Okay, so now, on our triple header tonight, we're holding by Amar Rava, 4 lines from the bottom of Daf Kuf Yud Amid Aleph. 4 lines from the top of Daf Kuf Yud Amid Aleph. Amar Rava, Hanoise Isha, when one marries a woman, Sarach Sheyivdoik Biacheha. He has to check her brothers. Now we'll see why, because it says Roiv Banim Daimel Acheyoin. Most children are like their maternal uncle, their mother's brother. So therefore you should check a woman's brothers. When I married my first wife, I couldn't do that because she only had sisters. Right? But if she has brothers, she should check her brothers. You see, when I married my wonderful second wife, it was a slam dunk because she has 2 brothers, one nicer than the next. Shmuel, who you see all the time over here, and her brother Tzvi, who you sometimes see. They're both really, really, really wonderful people. So it made it easy. So Amar Rava Hanoise Isha Tzarach Sheyivdoik Ba'acheha. When you marry a woman, you have to check her brothers. Shnemar Vayikach Aaron es Elisheva bas Aminadav. And Aaron took Elisheva, the daughter of Aminadav, Achais Nachshon, the sister of Nachshon. Now we know she's the sister of Nachshon, because we all know the Nasi Nachshon ben Aminadav. Mimash Meshinema bas Aminadav, since it says the daughter of Aminadav, Eini Yodeya Shachais Nachshoni, don't I know that she's the sister of Nachshon? So Ma Talmud Loimer Achais Nachshon. Oh, it's telling us, check up who her brother is. You marry a woman, you have to check her brothers. Now why? Because Tana Roiv Banim, the majority of children, is like the mother of the mother's brother. So therefore, if you want to know how your children are going to turn out, and therefore to determine if you should marry her, check her brothers. Tana, excuse me. Now let's go back to the story, the sad story of Moshe Rabbeinu's grandson, Yohanan, who served an idol. Now how did that happen? So it says the Gemara, when Shevet Dan accosted Yohanan for serving the Pesel Micha, Vayasuru, they turned there, Vayasuru Sham, Vayayimru Lei, and they said to him, Mi Haviyacha Chalaim, what brought you to this? Uma Ata Isa Bezeh, what are you doing with this? Uma Lacha Pai, and what are you doing here? Now this was code. There's 3 references over here to Moshe Rabbeinu. Amrulai, they said to him, Lamim Moshe Kosses, it's a pella that you're involved in idolatry. Don't you descend from Moshe? Dichsiv Bey al Tikrav Halaim. It says that you shouldn't come here. This was by the burning bush. Hashem told Moshe Rabbeinu, don't come any closer. And Lama Moshe Ka'asis Tichsiv Bey Mazeh B'yodecha. Remember when Hashem asked him, what's that that's in your hand? And it was the mata, and it turned into a snake. And Lama Moshe Ka'asis Tichsiv Bey V'ata Po Amodi Madi. you could stand here with me. Everybody else has to stay away from the mountain. And you're a descendant of Moshe. Te'aseh kayin l'avodah zarah. You end up being a priest to idolatry? Amalahan, here we have an example of how a person could accept from a Rebbe and not understand what the Rebbe meant. And that could be a disastrous repercussions if you don't understand what the Rebbe meant. Amalahen, kach mekublani mibeis avi abba. I have this tradition from my grandfather, from Moshe Rabbeinu. La'olam yaskir adam atzmoi la'avodah zarah. You should rent yourself to avodah zarah, v'al yitztach labrias, rather than beg. So this was the only job I could find. Now, Vusavar, he thought that his grandfather meant la'avodah zarah mamish, to idolatry. But of course, that's not what Moshe Rabbeinu meant. V'lohi, el avodah zarah meant avodah shezarah loy. Do something even though it's strange to you. I know you're a big PhD, but rather than beg, you should, sell francs at the baseball game. Kedamale Rav Rav Kahana, netoish nevelta b'shuka, even strip a carcass in the street. V'loi tema gavra rabana, and don't say you're a big man, v'zila by milsa, and to do such menial labor is not fit for me. No, that you shouldn't do. Rather do that than beg, but not to work for avodah zarah itself. Now, we're going to see that Yohainason did tshuva. Kevin Shirah David, now this is remarkable. He's a grandson of Moshe Rabbeinu, and he merited to live all the way to David HaMelech. The Mefarshim say this is because when people came to the idol, he shooed them away. He stopped them from worshiping it. Marshall, we let you back in since you were on the window in the snow, listening. We let you back in.
Thank you.
And by the way, Rabbi Isai, he got a little of an esek for everybody, like he said. Just contact him, tell him if you want it with a pitum or without a pitum, and he'll take care of you. We know that he wouldn't leave the share, except that he did it for everybody.
Got my case of lemons delivered. We're ready.
Lemons. I should have known he promised only a lemon.
Sure, I got plenty of pittance. You come to me, I'll give you a tasha.
Now.
Thank you.
So anyway, so he lived all the way to David, and David saw that he had an attachment to money. He was even willing to work for avodah zarah for money. David saw that money was precious to him. He positioned him over the vaults. Shenema was Shmuel ben Gershon ben Menashe. Shmuel, the son of Gershon ben Menashe, Nogid alo Tzaros, was appointed over the vaults. Says him, but his name was not Shmuel. And we have a girsa over here that it should not say ben Menashe, but it should say ben Moshe. V'chi Shmuel Shmai, v'alo Yehonasan Shmai. His name was Yehonasan. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, what a perfect Gemara for right after Yom Kippur. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, sheshav lekel b'chol libay. He returned to Hashem with all his heart. Now, the Mishnah says, by the way, Rabbi say we're only at 1 hour and 2 minutes. So, like I told Marshall, he could go get his lulav and esrog afterwards, but I know it didn't work because, he has somebody waiting for him. The guru was waiting for him.
They were offering bourbon with each esrog, and
Right.
they got there early.
Right. Now, I should have told you that it was sent you a Polish franc. Now, Vabonim Esa'ov, the son inherits the father. Says the Gemara, how do we know that if there's sons and daughters, the son gets before the daughter? Says the Gemara, Minalan, Dichsiv ish kiyamis, uben ein loy, if he doesn't have a son, then vavartem nachalosay lebitay. Then it goes to the daughter. Time of the ein loy ben. Ha yesh loy ben, but if there's a son, ben kaidim. Says the Gemara, Amalei Rav Papa, who says? Amalei Rav Papa Labaya, Ema, I'ika ben, leiris ben. If there's only a son, the son gets it. I'ika bas, teris bas. If there's only a daughter, the daughter gets it. If there's both, I'ika ben ubas, loy hai leiris, v'loy hai leiris. Neither should get it. Says the Gemara, neither should get it? Then who gets it? Says the Gemara, Ve'ela man leiris. Atu bakasha de masa leiris? Is it the governor of the city that should get it? Says the Gemara, no, maybe this is what it means. Hachi kamin, ike ben ubas, if there's a son and a daughter, they should split it. Loy hai leiris kulei, v'loy hai leiris kulei. The son shouldn't get it all, the daughter shouldn't get it all. So they should get together. So the Gemara says, that doesn't make sense. Because Amalei Abayev, it's your krala ashmina necha delesle alachad bra, the sinu lekule nechse. Do we need a pasuk to tell us if there's only a son that he gets the whole Yerusha? Of course he gets the whole. Who else should get it? So it must be that it says the son first, that the son gets before the daughter. So it says to Gemara, no. Maybe it's just telling us the Chiddush that a daughter gets the Yerusha. That if there's no son, the daughter, I might think that the daughter doesn't get the Yerusha at all. It only goes to the masculine line. V'dum ha'kamashman, the bas nami bas Yerusha. Says, well, I don't need a pasuk for that. That we know, hahu mevekol bas yereshes nachal nafka. That I know from the fact that the pasuk says that every daughter inherits nachla. So therefore, when it says son over here, it's coming to tell us that the son inherits before the daughter. And by the way, it's not only the son that inherits before the daughter, but if there's any descendant of the son, he also gets before the daughter. In other words, if a man had a son and a daughter, the son died, but the son had grandchildren. The grandchildren of the son get before the daughter. We'll learn that in Yetz Hashem in later dafim. Says the Gemara, V'dil mahakam ashbalon, excuse me, Rav Acha bar Yaakov says another makar, another source, that the son inherits before the daughter. The daughters of Tzlafcha said, Lama Yigara, why should our Lama Yigara Shem Avinu Mitaych Mishpachtai? Why should our father's name be missing from his family just because Ki Ein Lo Ben? So that implies that their only claim is because there's no son. Time it ain't Lo Ben. Ha yesh Lo Ben. But if there's a son, Ben Kaidim. So the Gemara says, but that's no raya that that's the halacha, because the Bnei Slafid said this before Kabbalah Satira. And maybe they're saying what they think. V'dilma Bnei Slafid u dekamen hachi. But nitna Torah v'nischach halacha. Maybe the Torah is given, and it teaches us that the son and the daughter are on the same footing. It's better the first answer. Ravina Mehacha. Ravina says we know it that the son gets before the daughter because it says Hakarov Elav, She'eray Hakarov Elav, Hakarov Karov Kaidim. And a son is closer than a daughter. Or my kurva de ben mibas. Why is a son closer than a daughter? Shekain kom tachas aviv liyada, because the son can be miyayed, marry or amavriya if the father doesn't want it. Or listei achuza. And the son could redeem an ancestor field, and not the daughter. So the Gemara says, well, the raya from Yiyud is not a raya. Because the fact that the son could be Yayid and Amavriya, that's not a Maila over the daughter. The daughter can't do Yiyud because she's a girl, and a girl can't marry a girl. Bas lav bas yadahi. And stay achuza that the son gets before the daughter, the son is able to redeem an ancestral field, and not a daughter, we don't know that. Because we said, how do we know that a son inherits a stei achuza and not a brother? Because although a brother does yibum, but he only does yibum when there's no son. But the same argument, he only does yibum when there's no daughter. The time kaimalei latana klum yesh yibum makom shein ben. And there's no yibum where there's a daughter also, so maybe a daughter can also redeem an ancestral field. So there isn't any raya that a son is closer than a daughter. Like our first answer. The a raya that a son inherits before a daughter. It says that an Evet Kanani, when its Jewish owner dies, he transmits the avodim to his sons. B'neichem v'loy b'noisechem. He transmits it to the sons and not the daughters. So we see that if the sons, there's no inheritance to the daughters. Are we going to say that for the mitzvah of mezuzah, only sons have longevity and not girls? Says bracha shani. A blessing is different because there's no sense to make a difference. Since the mitzvah of mezuzah is both by men and women, there's no reason to say that there's a bracha only to the men and not to the women. Paternal brothers, noichelin umanchilin, they inherit and transmit to one another. If there's no sons and no daughters and no father, then brothers inherit one another. So how do we know it's only paternal brothers? Minolan, Amarabba Asya Achva Achva Mibnei Yaakov. We learn out Achva Achva Mibnei Yaakov. Now the 12 Shvatim are paternal brothers. They're not maternal brothers because they have 4 different mothers. Right? Bilhah, Zilpah, Rachel, and Leah. So they're paternal brothers. So here also, by Yerusha, it's paternal brothers. Malahalan min ha'av v'loy ben ha'em, Afkan min ha'av v'loy ben ha'em. The father and not the mother. Says, I don't need to learn out Achva Achva Mibnei Yaakov. V'lamali, I know it because it says, Mishpachtoi v'yoresh asa, ksiv, from his family, Mishpachas Av Kruya Mishpacha, only the paternal family, the male line is considered Mishpacha. Mishpachas Eim any Kruya Mishpacha. So I don't need the drush of Achva Achva. Says, no, you're right. We mix something up. Einochanami. You know where you need the drush of Achva Achva? By Yibum. That if a man's maternal brother dies, there's no mitzvah of Yibum. Because it says, Ki Yeshu Achim Yachtov, and we learn out Achva Achva from the Yaakov. Einochanami. V'chi Itmar Derabba, the drush of Achva Achva, Le'inyan Yibum Itmar. It's by Yibum, because it says by Yibum, Ki Yeshvo Achim Yachtov. We learn out Achva Achva that there's only a mitzvah of Yibum if a paternal brother dies. If a maternal brother dies, there's no mitzvah of Yibum. Now, Rabbi say, we're going to learn the Mishnah Yomis, and
You mentioned about Salafchot. said it was for.
You know what, Saba? Let me hold with the questions now because it's very late, and I want to do the Mishnah Yomis.
What time we on tomorrow?
8:00.
Okay.
Regular time, 8:00. And let's get the Mishnah Yomis. I'm keeping ready, everybody. Very late over here.
Tomorrow.
What?
The dot. One dot from two.
When?
Tomorrow.
I don't know. I have to see how much time I have to prepare, unless you're offering to do it. But
Two dots and 2 cups. You got it.
No, the show you'll give 3 dollars.
I want to try. I want to try. I don't know if I'll be able to, but my hope is to try before Sukkot to do a chok. But I have to see if I'll have time. But that's not, and it can't be Tuesday night because Tuesday night is going to be for the Sukkot table. So if we're going to have, if we do 2 blot tomorrow night, then there's a possibility of doing the first chok of Achri Mois on Monday night. But I can't promise.